Welcome to the Set Apart podcast, where personal development meets biblical truth. I'm your host, Allison, life and leadership coach, teacher, lifelong learner, and a woman after God's heart. This is a space for real conversations about faith, growth, discipline, the ups and downs of life, and how God meets us in all of it. So stick around, because I believe that God called you here for a reason. Hey guys, welcome back to the Set Apart podcast. Today I want to talk about something that might challenge you at first, but if you really sit with it, it can completely shift the way you see your life. So here it is. All events are neutral. Even the ones that we deem traumatic, even the ones that psychology has labeled as damaging or unhealthy for our development, all events are neutral. It is us humans who attach meaning to events. Now, before you think I'm minimizing trauma, I want you to hear me out. This isn't about ignoring what's happened to you or what happens to other people or excusing anyone's behavior. It's about understanding that if we stay stuck in the meaning that we attach to events, we also stay stuck in the pain of those events. So think about this situation. A lion hunting a gazelle. To the gazelle, that's a life or death moment, and that's traumatic. To the empathetic person watching, it's horrifying. But to the lion, it's dinner. Same event, 3 different meanings. And that's what I mean when I say events are neutral. The moment itself doesn't carry emotion until we give it emotion. And that's both the power and the burden of being human. So let me first clarify what I mean when I say neutral. Neutral does not mean painless. It means that the event itself doesn't carry moral weight until we assign it. Saying something neutral isn't giving a pass to the people that hurt us either. It's not saying it's fine. It's saying you get to decide what this will mean for the rest of your life. Romans 8:28 says, God causes all things to work together for good for those who love him. That doesn't mean that all things are good, but it means that even the worst things can be used for good. And that's what redemption looks like. That's what reframing looks like. So let's go a little bit deeper. When something happens in our lives that feels unsafe, let's say yelling in your home or betrayal, abandonment, or even abuse, your body goes into survival mode. You've probably heard of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn responses. Those are your nervous system's way of saying, I need to protect you. Animals do this too. If a gazelle escapes the lion, it will literally stop and shake its body to release the trauma from its system before going back to grazing. It just went through a life or death experience. It escaped. There was high anxiety. And before it can go back to its normal life, it has to get all the anxiety out. Humans, we do this too as babies. That's why we see toddlers throwing temper tantrums. That is our body's intelligence system. But we stop throwing those temper tantrums because we get taught to suck it up, to stop crying, to be strong, to don't make a scene or not make a scene. And so we never shake it out like we're supposed to. We actually suppress everything. And that trapped energy doesn't just disappear. It becomes long-term anxiety, depression, fear, hypervigilance, perfectionism, the need to perform, avoiding romantic relationships, and so on. So when I say events are neutral, It doesn't mean that your body didn't respond. It means that your body did, and it did exactly what it was designed to do. But now it's your job to complete that process through healing. So I love using fitness examples because healing really does live in the body, so they go hand in hand. So let's think about the gym, okay? When you first pick up a weight, it feels heavy. And you might think, there's no way I'll ever get stronger. There's no way that this is ever going to get lighter. And that's true. The weight is not going to get lighter. But the more consistent you are, the more reps you put in, the lighter that weight feels. Did the weight change? No. You did. The weight is neutral. It's your growth, your consistency, and your willingness to show up that changes your capacity to hold it. And the same goes for emotional healing. Your past doesn't suddenly become lighter, but you grow stronger through the process of forgiving, releasing, and reframing. I think back to when I started training for my half marathon, and I could barely run a mile without feeling like my lungs were on fire. But over time, I noticed that same mile didn't break me down anymore. I remember thinking, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to hit this goal of running a half marathon. And the miles didn't get shorter, and time didn't suddenly warp to be on my side. My heart just got stronger, and my endurance increased, and my capacity expanded. So I changed, and that's how healing works. Events don't change, you do. But if we never process the pain, if we never pick up that emotional weight, it will always feel heavy. It will always guide us. And if we never challenge the meaning we gave an event, it will always control how we see the world. If your mom constantly yelled at you, you might now panic when somebody raises their voice, even if they're not mad. If your dad hit you for talking back, you might now silence your voice or diminish your voice in important relationships. Or if your parents abandoned you, you might now fear intimacy or push people away before they can leave. These are old meanings living in new seasons. There's a quote in NLP which says, "It's never too late to have a great childhood." And at first that might sound wild, but what it really means is, it's never too late to reframe what happened to you. You cannot change the event, that's for sure, but you can change the meaning you give it. You can look back at what broke you and say, that's where I learned resilience. You can look back at abandonment and say, that's where I learned to depend on God. Or you can even look back at betrayal and say, that's where I learned discernment. And when it comes to healing, you have a very important choice that you have to make. Are you going to choose to see the world based on your history? Or are you going to choose to see the world based on your vision? If you stay in victimhood or in your history, and if you keep telling yourself the same story about what happened, the story will constantly have you. But if you want to take control over that story so that you are holding the story, you get to decide what your vision is and let your vision lead you rather than your history leading you. So here's what I invite you to do. Reflect on one event from your past that still feels heavy today. And write about it. What happened? What were the objective events that happened? And after you get it all out, write about the meaning that you've given it. What did you make up about yourself? Once you've discovered the meaning that you've given the event that you're writing about, I invite you to write a new meaning, a meaning that empowers you, and one that is rooted in who you're becoming rather than who you were when it happened. So maybe your old meaning was, that breakup ruined me. I can never love again. And perhaps your new meaning is, that breakup revealed what I truly need and deserve. This is how we take ownership of our story. You're not rewriting history. You're just rewriting how it lives in your nervous system. God cannot heal what you keep pretending doesn't hurt. But once you bring it to Him, and once you shine light on it, you can redefine it, and God can redeem it. And that's why I always say your pain can define you, or it can refine you. The choice is yours. So remember, the event is neutral. The weight is neutral. The question is, how long will you let it weigh down your life? And do you decide to pick up the weight and get stronger? Or do you decide to let it stay heavy? So I challenge you to show up for your healing like you would show up for the gym. I challenge you to show up for yourself the way you would show up for the person you love most. It might hurt at first, revisiting what you've been through, and it might feel heavy, but if you stay consistent, you'll look back one day and realize that what once broke you doesn't define you anymore, because the event didn't change. You did. And that's the power of taking responsibility for your healing. Thanks for tuning in to the Set Apart podcast. If this episode spoke to you, share it with a friend or post it to your story. You never know who might need it. Remember, being set apart isn't about being perfect. It's about being purposeful. I'll catch you in the next one.